What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Untamed Outdoorsmen Automotive, a small subcategory in this predominantly kayak fishing YouTube channel. And today we are back once again on my 2014 Chevy Silverado 1500 with the 5.3 liter EcoTec V8 engine in it. And today we are going to be doing a throttle body replacement. So we have the throttle body right here. We have this is the GM original equipment AC Delco part. The part number here, and I'll put this up on the video as well, is 12740-725. So this is the replacement throttle body for my truck. I have some very small issues that I am very inclined to believe is a throttle body related issue. Some situations may require cleaning the throttle body. Other situations may require replacing the throttle body. I think it really does vary on a situation by situation basis. So your situation is going to be different from my situation, so who knows. But either way, we have the parts here. We also have a new throttle body gasket as well. This is another GM genuine part right there. So all OEM parts for this installation. This should be a really good one. Definitely looking forward to this. We got a few specific tools that we're going to need here for this job. So for this job, we are going to need a 1/4-inch torque wrench that can do inch pounds. This is the one that I have here. I'm just going to be using this one. This one does inch pounds, not foot pounds, inch pounds. We will need that. We will also need a scanner that is capable of doing an idle relearn procedure. A lot of scan tools cannot do that. Make sure you have one that can do that. The one we have here is the Topdon Arty Diag 500. This is not a sponsorship. I'm not being paid to say anything or do anything. This was the one that popped up. This is the one that was recommended to me, so I went with this one. This one is a scanner that can do idle relearn procedures, so that's what we're going to need. And in terms of like actual tools, we have a 1/4-inch ratchet, 1/4-inch extension, a 10mm 1/4-inch, and a 8mm 1/4-inch. So we have all the tools that we're going to need here. Let's get into the video. We're going to get to the truck now. All right, everybody. So one thing I need to discuss really quickly before we get into this video. I am not a professional mechanic. I am just a guy doing this in his driveway. I am not a professional mechanic. You are responsible for your own vehicle. Every single vehicle and every single problem warrants a different approach. So I am not a professional. I am not somebody you should rely on. If at any point you are unsure about how to diagnose your vehicle or you are not sure how to complete this install, I recommend consulting a professional in your area. You know, do not rely on me for diagnostic help because I am not that guy, and it is impossible for me to diagnose a vehicle through a YouTube comment section. So if there's any doubt or any confusion, I recommend consulting a professional in your area that can help you install this and can help you properly diagnose it so you can make the most out of your money. So just wanted to make that very, very clear for you guys. So let's get into it. Okay, so we are at the vehicle now, and before we do anything and before we disconnect the negative battery, I am going to just go in here and remove our OBD2 port connection. So this is a range disabler, just the active fuel management disabler. We're just going to put that right here, just so we don't risk any issues with the computer happening. And now we're going to go to the hood, and we are going to remove our negative battery terminal. So just a 10mm for this and an extension on a ratchet, and we are just going to remove this. Just going to tuck that off to the side just so there's no risk of those connections shorting together. All right, so next up on our list, we have to remove this giant, I guess, like air box thing. So we have to remove the 2 hose clamps, 1 hose clamp right there, 1 hose clamp right here, and then we also have to remove our PCV connections. So right here and right here. So pretty straightforward, and we'll do that quickly. Just a 8mm for the hose clamp connections, and I recommend using a ratchet and a socket, not a screwdriver for these. That's 1. That's 2. And then these PCV connections, you just raise up the gray tabs and you push them, just like that. And now this should come out pretty easily, hopefully. There we go. It'll go. If it hasn't been removed in a while, it may need to kind of like subtly pop. There we go. All right, so that is out. Now we have full access to our throttle body. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is we have to remove this electrical tab. Okay, that is out. We'll put that off to the side a little bit. Okay, so next up we have 4 bolts. These are 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to remove those. We're going to get a good idea of how much carbon is behind this throttle body. Just be careful as well. You don't want to take them all out too quickly because you don't want the throttle body to fall onto whatever it may be, onto your belts or anything. So just be careful. Take the bolts out gradually. And we are going to reuse these bolts. GM does sell replacement bolts if you want to use replacement bolts, but we're just going to reuse the bolts because I see no reason to not do so. Okay. So now this should theoretically just kind of pop. Yep, there we go. All right. So it is pretty carboned up. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's not amazing either. But I don't think this was our issue. So either way, we're just going to go ahead and replace it. We are also going to be replacing that gasket. But I am also going to go grab a rag and I'm going to clean up that whole area around there. Inside the actual throttle body, I'm going to do what I can to kind of clean up that carbon a little bit. And then we're going to remove that gasket. All right, so I got this rag here. As you can see, I've kind of been cleaning it up a little bit. There was a decent amount of carbon buildup in here. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of time, kind of clean that up a little bit, as best I can with a rag. I wouldn't go spraying like heavy chemicals in there. I would just kind of take a rag and try to lift out what you can, but that's a lot better. So it's not gonna be perfect, but it'll be better. So I'm gonna remove this gasket, potentially with my fingers. There we go. All right, so that's the gasket. You may need to replace this, you may not. Think situationally, you'll be able to make that call for yourself. I'm just gonna really get in there with the rag and kind of clean this up a little bit. And when it comes to electrical components like this, guys, I really only recommend OEM stuff. Don't try to cheap out with the aftermarket like brands and the no-name brands, especially the no-name Amazon brands. Anything electrical like this that has a direct impact on your vehicle performance, I would not risk it with anything other than OEM. Just seems like a very needless risk if you ask me. All right, so I think this is ready for the new gasket. And we're gonna get our new gasket. This is the part number right here for my specific vehicle and my application. So let's do this. So I got the new gasket and I already cleaned up the mating surface. So I'm just going to gently press this in. So it looks like it does stick out a little bit, and that's with me pushing everything. So that's good. Okay. So we have our new throttle body here. So a few things to be aware of with a new throttle body. As vehicles are getting newer, as vehicles are getting more electronic based, you really don't want to mess with the butterfly blade right here on this throttle body. You really don't want to mess with it. Don't be like opening it up by hand or anything. I know older vehicles, you could do that a lot more, but with these newer, almost purely electronic throttle bodies, you really don't want to mess with that. And number 2, do not touch these 2 screws. If you touch these 2 screws with a screwdriver, try to loosen them, try to tighten them, you're going to ruin the throttle body. So you really don't want to do that. And lastly, you don't want to drop this throttle body. If you drop it, you run the risk of potentially damaging it permanently. So we're not going to take that risk. All right, so I am going to get this installed and just start to hand tighten. We are not going with a ratchet or a torque wrench yet. We're just going to get it physically on. Obviously being very mindful not to cross thread or anything like that, because if you do cross thread it, you're going to have to replace this whole entire thing, which is not fun. All right, so now we are going to grab our 1/4-inch torque wrench. This is my 1/4-inch torque wrench right here. And we are going to set this to 89 inch-pounds. Not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. 89, 87, 88, 89. 89 inch-pounds right there. All right. It is very important that you do not over tighten this, because this is only going into a brass insert inside of a plastic housing. So you do not want to over tighten this. You just want to torque it to spec, and that's it. .89 inch-pounds right there. Okay. And obviously just retorque it, recheck. 89 inch-pounds right there. Perfect. So when you're done using a torque wrench, make sure you back it all the way off, back down to 0, and then just put it a few notches up and then tighten it down. All right, so as you can see, old throttle body, new throttle body, kind of night and day difference there, huge difference. And this was the original part number information. I don't think there's an actual part number on that. It might just be model numbers and codes and stuff. But yeah, this thing might have been in need of a replacement. Possibly, maybe we could have cleaned it, but again, I don't think that was our issue. So yeah. So now we are going to take our plug, kind of click, wait for it to click, and then close that tab. So now we're going to do the inverse of what we just did. We are going to put our airbox back on in the opposite order of how we took it off. And we are going to, after that, we're going to hop in the car and we are going to mess with our scanner. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Let's wrap this up inside the engine bay. Since you're in here as well, this is a very good time to potentially look at your air filter and look at your PCV valve. It's actually directly below the throttle body. I replaced my PCV valve about a year ago, and I replaced my air filter about 4 months ago, so I'm good on both of those. There we go. Obviously, double check all of your air hoses. Take a look if any of them are ripped, potentially vacuum leaks or anything like that. So just do a quick inspection of all of your air. So your filter area, your hoses, anything like that that may be cracked or torn or anything like that could be a sign of a potential vacuum leak. But I know we're good, so I'm not worried about it. Just be careful of tightening down. You're only tightening into plastic. Then obviously just do a complete inspection. Make sure that the hose clamp is fully seated into the throttle body. You don't want unmetered air going through, but in this case I know we're fine. Okay, so now we are going to throw our negative terminal back on, and do not start the vehicle yet. We're just going to put the negative back on, then we're going to go into our scanner. Do not start the vehicle yet. We are not at that point yet. Just give that a really good shake. Make sure it's not loose or anything. You want a nice strong connection on your negative. All right, we're gonna go inside the vehicle now and access our scanner. Okay, so we are in the vehicle now. I have the key here, and we are not going to run the vehicle. We are just gonna put it in the on position, just like that. So we're in, the engine's not running, hood is open. So I got my scanner out the box here. It's the Topdon RD Diag 500. Got an OBD2 port. I'm just gonna plug this guy right in. Okay, we are hooked up. And again, the vehicle's not running. So we are here right now. Now we are going to Click on maintenance. And again, this varies from scanner to scanner, so you'll have to figure that out. Chevrolet. .3 liter. Special functions, idle learn. Yep, so throttle body idle airflow compensation, that's set to 0. So now this should be, theoretically be ready to start. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start this and I'm going to let it idle for probably 3 minutes or so. I'm going to let the computer kind of figure itself out. And if there is a check engine light that comes on, we can look at it right here just in case. So I'm going to let this run for about 3 minutes. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's 11:12 right now. I will come back in about 3 minutes and make sure we are still good, but I think we're going to be okay. This is already idling pretty smoothly, it looks like. So we're going to let this kind of die down and do its thing, and then we'll come right back. So while we're idling here, we'll give it another minute. There is one thing that you should be aware of. So there is like kind of a hack way to do an idle relearn. There's something that you can do where if you let it idle for 3 minutes, turn the vehicle off for 1 minute, let it idle for another 3 minutes. It's rumored to work and it's rumored to do the same thing. However, from my experience, it seems like it's definitely like a mileage may vary sort of thing. Some people are having success with it, many are not. So in my opinion, when in doubt, just get a proper scan tool and do the proper idle relearn procedure. I think that's just a way safer way to do it. And it seems like my vehicle is loving that I did the proper relearn. So yeah, we're gonna let this idle for another minute or so, and then we'll be right back. About 4 minutes ago, and as you can see, the vehicle is idling extremely well. It's a little high right now because it is very cold outside. It's only about 32 and it just started for the morning, so it's gonna idle a little high until it warms up. But as you can see, the RPMs look really stable. They're not like sputtering around or anything. They're staying very, very consistent, and I'm a fan. So I'm gonna take this on a quick test drive and make sure that all is good. But if nothing happens, I'm gonna end the video here, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching the video. I know this is not like our usual content, but in the winter, these automotive videos are gonna happen naturally. So I'm a big fan of this. This seems to really have helped out my idle, so I'm a big fan of that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.